the latest of those, Shreveport City Councilwoman LeVette Fuller. Miss LeVette, God, it seems like a million years. What's new? What's the latest? Just working from home every day? What's the deal?
Yeah, I'm mostly impressed that my little dog doesn't bark when I'm on a Zoom meeting. Like, she only barked once in the first council meeting we had on Zoom. Josephine Baker's not impressed.
$19 million in budget cuts have been presented to the city council, it looks like.
Yeah.
That list, anything on that surprise you or worry you?
I'm worried about the $5 million that we're cutting from police. It's such a big amount compared to what we're having to cut for, like, fire, and it's all public safety. And I'm not saying that we should, we need to go back and cut fire more. The issue is that we're cutting vacant positions. We've got, like, $3 million in base officer positions that we're cutting. That's going to hurt. It's going to hurt a department that's already understaffed and underpaid. But the thing is, right now what we're looking at is how we can cut without having to go into furloughs and layoffs is what this is. And we're still not meeting the mark.
It looks like across the board on this list I'm looking at has many departments that we're just cutting out vacant positions almost in every department. Is that pretty accurate?
Every department, yes. All funded vacancies pretty much across the board have just been frozen. And that's not going to get us where we need to go, but realize that the amount of money that's being stopped for those vacancies, those aren't positions that we didn't need and have just been sitting there, because those departments were often, off having a party and not trying to hire up. So when you have a public works issue, a property standards issue, and it's taken a while for certain things to get done, that's part of it, and it's going to be that much more painful. Things are going to keep moving that slow.
Ms. LeVette, $19 million is not a small chunk of change, as you have pointed out. And you said they were presented, these cuts presented to the council. By whom? By what committee? By what person?
This
and
is
how?
By the CFO, Shrika Fields-Jones, presented this to us. And this is the product of asking each department to cut X amount of dollars and to look at specific lines. It's like a first round reduction, I believe. I think that other things are being considered. This isn't final. This is a starting point. And I think that this is going to be the majority of our discussion in the Audit and Finance Committee tomorrow.
How will, if you adopt this as it's presented to you, what will the public feel? What are we going to feel from these cuts? Anything?
Oh man, yes. So right now with the quarantine that we're all under, if you've driven around and noticed that the trash is filling up really fast at the parks, and it's pretty disgusting, it's the product of, one, people going out and looking for anywhere that they can be, so they're at the parks and they're probably creating more refuse. But it's also a matter of the staff trying, for the most part, to social distance and maybe be one person to a truck to go empty trash and clean up parks, which means that they're moving slower. So it's going to be like that but way more. It's going to be like that for the streets, filling potholes, doing the asphalt overlays, street special revenue funds that we had just done for 2019. Out of those 2019 dollars, we're not going to be looking at that full amount for the streets that we were going to do. Those reductions are going to mean that work that was already scheduled, not all of it's going to get done. I've got hiccups. I guess I shouldn't have watched Eve, Killing Eve the other day because the old girl got hiccups. Anyways, but you're going to see a slowdown in operations across the board. I think where you're really going to feel it is going to be on street maintenance and on SPAR. You might feel a little with property standards, which is already kind of slow. And that's not, I'm not dog on them. I think that Terrence Green's actually doing an awesome job. but a lot of that's policy more than manpower.
I'm looking under Parks and Recreation. It says decrease overtime costs due to pools closure. Are we closing city pools for the summer? Is that decision made?
Yeah. This is not a final list. We may not adopt this exactly as you're seeing it, but just to answer your hypothetical, yeah, we would be closing the pool. Now think about this. If you've got a reduction in your police and you've got a reduction in some of your recreation, you're going to see an uptick in summer crime.
Ms. LeVette,
Think about that.
The numbers that were being tossed around, I think it was $125 million shortfall between now, whenever now was a couple of weeks ago, and the end of the fiscal year. Is as you, somebody who really takes the books, who looks at the numbers hard, is it conceivable that the $125 million number was low?
I think that Ms. Fields Jones kind of prepares for a doomsday scenario. And yeah, I mean, this is like what we're looking at right now is all hypothetical based on where we are right now. It could be a little low, but more than likely she's preparing us for the absolute worst. This is the thing about Shreveport Fields Jones that I come to expect and appreciate, is that she's not gonna sugarcoat it for us.
One last thing real quick, another subject. The Don's Seafood building has been an eyesore since it burned in January. Do we finally,
and maybe before that,
do we finally have some movement on getting that site cleaned up?
I can't make any promises, and it's a thing because, you know, there's still a private owner that is responsible for that building. And the way that this is working is they've got to get their insurance dollars, and then they have to get the demolition company cleared by the insurance company, and then the demolition can occur. But our property standards department has paperwork in hand, signed, and the plan is for it to get done in the next 2 weeks.
Ah, so the site would be cleared then.
Yeah, the site would be cleared hopefully in the next 2 weeks, and I'm hoping. And the thing is, now I'm saying it to you all. And if the owner of the property or his realtor are listening, they realize that I'm kind of calling them out. So I'm hoping, I'm optimistic that this is going to be done in the next 2 weeks. I walk by there, every day that I try to go out and get my 10,000 steps in, and then I come back home and I call Mr. Green, and I'm like, what do we know? What do we know? And this is what I got, like, over the, he's been reaching out and doing his part, and he did meet with the owner, and this is where we are, is they told Mr. Green that within the next 2 weeks, the demolition should be done now that the insurance company has signed off on who the company is to do the demolition.
Thanks for that info. We appreciate your time this morning. Can
I just say one more thing?
Please.
It's not the only building in District B that we have to look at. And this is one of the reasons that the environmental court getting set up is so important, is that is going to help us to bring people in and hold them accountable for their properties in a really smooth and consistent and hopefully quicker way than we've been able to do so far.
LeVette Fuller, Shreveport City Councilwoman, thanks for your time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.